impact defensive players in Armstrong and Wolford. They're going to come right in and be starters, and he moves down and picks up additional choices. So I think the Bears had a good idea what was out there and knew how to handle this draft in particular.
It's a little taste of the middle of the winter with a quarterback controversy here in late April. And don't forget, the Bears will pick again by virtue of their trade with Miami. They will be up in the 8 hole here in the second round, the 36th selection overall. But some square talking, some straight shooting, Chris Berman, from head coach Mike Ditka, who's in good health and in rare form.
I think, Bobby, that we have a scoop when Mike Ditka doesn't shoot from the hip and doesn't give you some straight talking. The one thing that we've grown to love about Mike and many things is that he says what he means, and you can respect anybody that says that. And so saying what he means, Tommy and Joe, means that he's just sick and tired of a lot of the back and forth. He just wants to play football, and i.e. Jim McMahon. He may not be in San Diego, but he may be somewhere else anyway.
Well, I think Mike certainly says what he means, and the indication has been for a year that I think he would like to see Tom Sack in the lineup. Tom Sack came along. I think McMahon has created this situation in Chicago where Mike feels he's like a disruptive force for the other 45 guys on the squad. That will not be the case when they open up the season in September.
Is that a fair assessment, Joe, that McMahon has disrupted the rest of the team?
I got to believe that I think they're so used to what Jimmy has done. I don't think he's disrupted that football team, truthfully. I think what's happened is the trade rumors were initiated by Zucker and by McMahon. It's a perfect day to do it. This is the perfect day to let the world know that Jimmy McMahon is shopping. And you go to a football team like San Diego that has really big holes at their quarterback situation. The thing I think that's hurt Jim McMahon throughout his career is his inconsistency of being able to stay on the football field and help his football team. That is the one thing that I've been critical of as far as an analyst, and even when I played against him. He's tough when he's out there. But the fact is, he just wasn't out there enough to really have his teammates look at him and say, hey, no matter what, he's going to be there. So I really think that Jim McMahon has sort of created his own situation. Where his future is right now is going to be very questionable, because he's going to have to go to camp this year and feel like, well, am I really going to have a legitimate shot at the #1 position now? I mean, that's got to be the biggest question in his mind, as well as his agents. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a deal made going out through the summer, but I don't think anything will happen through this particular draft day.
No, it doesn't sound like today, and he will have a shot because, as Mike Ditka told Pete, he does indeed have a heart, and we knew that all along, and that was good news to hear from Mike. Dallas, by the way, has started off the second round. They've made their selection, and they've got a good value for this pick. Steve Wisniewski, guard from Penn State, is the first selection of the second round. That goes to the Dallas Cowboys. So Troy Aikman now immediately has someone to block for him if he breaks into the starting lineup. The second pick in the second round is owned by Detroit. They had the 3rd overall pick of the draft. And with the first round selection of theirs, they chose the Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma State, Barry Sanders. And our Dan Patrick has been with Barry Sanders out in Wichita, Kansas all day long. He visited with Barry after he was chosen by the Lions.
Back here in Wichita, and we're finding out Barry Sanders is just as elusive off the field as he is on the field. We finally tracked him down after a couple of hours. We had sightings of you going to church. We had sightings of you going to the airport to go to Detroit. Where have you been?
I've been at home watching the draft. First I watched the first 10 selections. Then I did a little press conference over the phone with the Detroit media and talked to a few reporters here from the local staff. So that's what I've been doing.
Now, is it a relief or is it excitement? You don't seem like you're thrilled with all of this.
Well, I told one guy, I'm the type of person, I got this from Johnny Unitas. I heard him say, I get emotional at weddings and at funerals. I mean, football, it's a game, and I don't really like dealing with a lot of unnecessary stuff that goes on with it.
Now, last night I spoke with Barry, and he didn't sound thrilled to be going to Detroit, only because they have a run-and-shoot offense. Mouse Davis is now taking over the offense there. Did Wayne Fonts tell you, don't worry about the offense, you'll get your chance to run?
Well, yeah, he did. He told me a lot of things, you'll restore the roar in the dome, and you'll gain 1,600 yards, and just, trying to comfort me and coming up there. At first I was a little skeptical, about going up there because of the fact that it was a run and shoot. And, I've been playing since 4th grade, and the only thing I've played in was, I formations and 3-back offenses. So that's just something that I've never been involved in, and something that you don't know about you usually stay away from it.
You're one of the shyer persons I've ever met. And you didn't want to meet the media today. You didn't want to go to Detroit to meet the media up there. Pretty tough to be a pro athlete and stay out of the spotlight there, bud.
It's I think I'm being read wrong. I think it's not that I'm shy. I'm not shy. But like I say, some things are just unnecessary. And I'm not trying to downput what you guys do. But you have to respect my judgment and the way I am as a person too. Every individual is different. And I'm learning now that people in situations like this, people don't really care about you. And that's all I'll say. They don't really care about you. They just pretty much want what they can get out of you. But I don't know. That's just something I'll have to deal with.
One final question. You're probably more nervous about your brother Byron, who was a 1,000-yard rusher at Northwestern, where he's going to be selected, and people say maybe 4th or 5th pick, maybe 4th or 5th round.
Right. He's played a big part in my success. And like you said, I am pretty much anticipating the rest of the draft and see where he'll fit in. I just wish him the best, and I know he's a top quality player, and he can make a contribution to any team that he goes to. It's kind of it's really negative, and it's unfair that a man gains 1,000 yards in the Big Ten, and he's not ranked higher than he is, And I'm not down his players, but he didn't have the best offensive line, And it's just a school that's devoted to academics, whereas my school is devoted to sports, pretty much. So it's a bad situation for him, but he'll get his chance and he'll do well.
All right, Barry, thank you. We finally tracked down Barry Sanders. Good luck to the rest of the NFL defenses around the country. We send it back to New York.
All right, Dan and Barry, thank you very much. And speaking of opposing defenses for the Lions, they've just made their second-round selection. They've gone wide receiver, John Ford, Virginia, who can fly. And here are the Packers pick. Let's get that one.
The Green Bay Packers have traded this pick in the second round and their pick in the 5th round to Cleveland for Cleveland's first-round pick in 1990, Cleveland's 3rd-round pick this year, and New England's pick held by Cleveland in the 5th round this year. Cleveland is on the clock.
Well, that's Don Weiss up at the podium pitching long relief for Commissioner Rozelle. Cleveland has traded their #1 pick in 1990, next year's pick, for a shot here at the second-round selection. With the Packers' their second-round pick, the 3rd overall pick in the second round. Cleveland's given up their pick, #1 pick next year. We're about to find out who they have in mind.
Well, it's an interesting situation, Chris. Cleveland, Bernie Kosar was hurt last year. Don Strock was hurt last year. They got real thin when they boiled down to quarterbacks for him coming in. We haven't talked about many quarterbacks. Troy Aikman came out of the chute #1, and then 3 hours later, I'm going to bring it up again. Could be a situation where maybe a Rodney Peete might be taken into consideration. Here's a guy who was projected as a possible first. I think when he went head-to-head with Aikman, he did a heck of a job. I think he showed his abilities. He has the athletic ability. I see him more like a Don McPherson type of an athlete who is a great athlete and can fit into different places. But Cleveland, if they're giving up a #1, it's going to have to be somebody that's big, number-wise.
Also receives running back Herman Fontenot. From Cleveland.
So we have an existing player
running back
traded.
Herman Fontenot from Cleveland.
Herman Fontenot was part of that draft. The running back goes to the Packers, who are just stockpiling folks. The Cleveland Browns are now on the phone, and I can imagine what this conversation is. They've got their player in mind. I'm trying to come up with one, but Pete, maybe it is. Yeah, it could be Lawyer Tillman. There's a unique type of player that doesn't come around all the time. I don't know if they trade a #1 in 1990. Lawyer Tillman would be ideal for him. Ozzie is, well, of course, he's not going to play the tight end, but they need a big player. They have gone Metcalf already and made a trade